This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the town of North Haven.
Okay, there you go.
I'd like to call the August 2018 meeting of the Board of Police Commissioners to order. My name is Dave Mons. I'm the Vice Chair of the Commission. And two preliminary orders of business. First, I'd like to welcome Robin Wilson to the Commission. Robin was recently sworn in by the Board of Selectmen to fill the unexpired term of Joe D'Erico, who resigned from the Commission. So welcome, Robin.
Thank you.
And I'd like to acknowledge First Selectman Mike Frieda, who is fresh from the concert on the green, who's here to assist in the conduct of our organizational meeting. Michael?
Thank you very much, David. Welcome to our Police Commission meeting. Great to have you, Robin. Welcome aboard. So tonight, with our new member, Robin, tonight is a reorganization, so I have three orders of business this evening. The first order is to have nominated and for you to elect a chairman of this commission. The second order of business is to nominate and select and elect a vice chairman of the position and of the commission. And the third order of business is to appoint a secretary. So the way it works is I start with the chairmanship and I ask for nominations. So without further ado, I'd like to ask for a nomination for the chairman of this police commission board.
So I would like to nominate David Mons as chairman of the Board of Police Commissioners.
Okay, we have a nomination. Is there a second?
That if you require one.
Okay, Alden Mead on the second. So we have a nomination, we have a second. Are there any other nominations? All right, seeing none, hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. David, thank you very much for your service as chairman
Thank you.
here. We appreciate it. Second order of business is to ask for a nomination for the vice chair of this commission.
I'd like to nominate Larry Lazaroff for that position.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second, Mr. Calafiore. So with that being said, are there any other nominations? Hearing none, seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Larry, congratulations on being vice chair of the commission. Thank you for your service. Third order of business is to ask for a nomination for secretary of this Board of Police Commissioners.
I'd like to nominate Robin Wilson as secretary for the Board of Police Commissioners.
Okay, we have a nomination. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Alden Mead on the second. Are there any other nominations? Any other discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Robin, not only welcome aboard, congratulations on being now the secretary of this wonderful commission. So, ladies and gentlemen, here this evening and those watching on North Haven TV, that concludes my business for this evening. Have a great meeting, and I appreciate not only the North Haven Police Department, Chief McLaughlin, Deputy Chief Kevin Glenn, and of course Peg there, who does an outstanding job administratively, but not only I, but the town of North Haven appreciates this Police Board of Commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. So we'll move on to the more mundane aspects of the agenda. May I have a motion to approve the minutes from the July 16th special meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion, any corrections? Hearing none. All in favor of approval?
Aye.
Aye.
So the special meeting minutes are approved. And may I have a motion to approve the minutes for the July 24th, 2018 regular meeting?
I have what I think might be a correction. At the bottom of the page, it does say that all three were sworn in earlier this evening. Now, Mark Iannone was sworn in earlier, and just the two, De Palma and Stockton, were sworn in by you, Vice
Right,
Chairman, at the time.
we just appointed, that's correct.
So that's just a minor correction.
Chief Deputy, you,
What page is that?
so it's
It's-
first, very bottom paragraph of the first page under,
Yeah, July 24th. This is Vice Chairman's report.
Okay.
The very last line.
Okay. Good catch. So with that correction, may I have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting for July 4th, I guess, as amended?
I'll make a motion to approve it as amended.
Seconded.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And may I have a motion to approve the monthly reports for July 2018?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of approval of the monthly reports?
Aye.
Robin, do we have correspondence?
Would you like to take over?
That was quick. Okay, we have a lovely letter here. To the members of the North Haven Police Department, thank you so much for the police escort for my grandmother, Catherine, oh, we're not saying names, I'm sorry, funeral procession. Coming from another sister in blue and a family of first responders, it is greatly appreciated. Signed by the family. That's one. South Central Criminal Justice Administration. To the Chief, dear Chief, thank you for allowing Officer Alexander Sinanis to serve as a panelist at the recently held oral board examination for the position of recruit police officer. Police departments being able to provide resources are essential to the regional testing process. Your cooperation significantly contributes to this goal. Sincerely, Charles Sherwood. And this one, that's it. No,
That's it?
Third one, yeah.
Thanks, Robin. Didn't mean to throw you into the fire. Yes.
Oh, that's fine.
So moving on to, I guess, what is now the chairman's report. Just very briefly, we've had a busy month. We held a special meeting on August 15th, and after about 4 hours of interviews, we extended conditional offers to 2 certified police officers for position as school resource officers. Once they complete their those conditions, the SRO program will be fully staffed. And I'm sure the chief will talk about this in a little bit more detail, but I think it's the goal to get those 2 in the schools by mid to late September. We also extended conditional offers to 3 certified officers to fill current vacancies and one recruit applicant. And those folks are currently completing the onboarding process. And again, I think the chief can provide some additional detail during his report. And that's really all I have.
I just want to add one thing. I had someone stop in my business and ask if we might look at the stop sign which needs repair between Butler and Wadsworth. Apparently it's in very poor condition, so I did say that I would mention it at tonight's meeting.
And then, just briefly have, tomorrow's the start of the school year. As in the past, we've always asked our residents and people that use our roadways to be aware of that. We want them to recognize that the school buses, when they see the amber lights going, they should be prepared to stop, and when they see the red lights flashing, they should stop, or they must stop. It's roughly a $465 fine, so it's a steep fine, plus there's points assigned to your license, as well as it's likely that you're going to have an increase in your insurance premiums with a violation like that. At the same time, when you see kids standing, or at the curb at a bus stop, we were all there once as youngsters, and there's some horseplay that goes on, and they should be our motorists should be mindful of that. So if somebody steps out into the street, we don't want to have any accidents. Quick congratulations to Sergeant Bob DePalma, Officer Ted Stockman. These are, they retired this past month. Bob had 31 years with our police department. Ted had 32 years. Both officers are now supernumerary police officers, and they are continuing to serve the town in the capacity of a supernumerary police officer assigned to the new SRO program. So they have, they're bringing a skill set and years of experience with them, and I look forward to continue to work with them. At the same time, Officer Rich Hannon is going to be leaving in roughly 2 weeks. Rich is another 25-year veteran, and I might be a little premature with this, but he says he is definitely leaving. So I want to give him his kudos. Rich served his almost his entire career in patrol, and he's an excellent officer, and we wish all three of them the best. As far as the budget, we just started back in July 1. We're already 2 months in, and we actually are we're within our expectations. I take roughly 100% of our budget and I divide it by 12, and each month, if we can stay within 8.333%, we usually come out right where we should be next June 30. So as it stands right now, we're a little bit under, which is good. We have had a little bit of an uptick in the overtime. Now that's partly because we've had retirements. We have a long-term injury that we can discuss in executive session when we talk about personnel matters. And we did have some unusual or extraordinary expenses with, it seemed like there were a lot of catch basins on some of these side streets that were replaced by the town in preparation for the milling and the pavement and the paving. We do provide traffic for that. Hopefully in September, we're going to try to pull that back a little bit. To kind of shore that up a little bit, we moved somebody from traffic to our uniformed services and patrol. We took somebody from our detective bureau, we moved them over to patrol as well. So we should get some savings there. And we also had summer vacations. July and August is usually when you get hit the best, the most with vacation and replacement costs. So hopefully September we can kind of rein that in a little bit. Then again in October we're going to have some firearms training. We'll have some expenses with the leaf pickup. That usually comes out of our overtime. So right now we're in good shape though. We're under 16.5%, which is where we want to be. The W.T. Benary Scholarship, I do not have any request at this point, at this month. Our uniform services, ISU, our detectives, our robberies and burglaries continue to be down for the calendar year. This past month, we did have one robbery. It was a result of a shoplifting that went bad, and it involved a little bit of violence and a little push and shove. It, at that point, gets escalated, becomes a robbery. One commercial break, 2 residential burglaries. One was a vacant home in which people that were doing some landscaping or pretending to do some landscaping, they were arrested. They went into somebody's home. We suspected they were going to be taking copper tubing and that sort out of the house. The second burglary involved the theft of a firearm, and that's been resolved as far as an arrest. Our vehicle burglaries, we had 8 of them this past month. 5 of them occurred in commercial parking lots, so that would leave the 3 in residential areas. So it seems like the word is getting out, and it's kind of resonating with the residents to make sure we lock our doors, take our valuables out of the cars. Some of the other towns are still getting hit, so it might just be our lull right now, and they might be back. I mean, this is something that's going across the state. the deputy chief and I went to a training seminar today up at the police academy, and it was one of the prosecutors for the state of Connecticut that works strictly with juvenile offenses. You could tell just by his presentation, he's frustrated. He's frustrated. All the chief officers in the room are frustrated. This is something that they elevated this juvenile age to 18, so that the 16 and 17-year-olds that used to be juveniles are now, or they used to be adults, are now considered juveniles. They're closing the training school. There's no place really to put people to hold some of these kids. The way he described it, and correct me if I'm wrong, even the judges are being handcuffed to a certain degree as far as what they can do with some of these kids. And they're just out there. The best thing that we could do is lock it all up. That's about the best we can do.
So are the vehicles in the commercial lots that were broken into, were they unlocked?
They're
or is it
unlocked
smash and
as well.
grab?
Some
Still
people,
unlocked?
right, most all of them are unlocked. Some people will tell us that they were locked, but there's no evidence of any forced entry. So, there's no broken glass, there's no marks on the glass that would indicate any type of a Slim Jim or anything like that. And even now, that's almost unheard of, I think, with all the electronics in the car door.
Out of curiosity, is the age group of the perpetrators in the commercial lot similar to those in the residential area? Or are they different
Yeah,
categories?
we don't really know at this point. And again, some of these are juveniles, and some
Yeah.
of them are juveniles that are being schooled and being driven around in stolen cars by people that are
I was
20
wondering
years
if they're
old.
taking them to the commercial place now instead.
There was a bad crash in the city of New Haven, and
Yeah.
about a week and a half ago, and it's kind of it's unfortunate that happens, but that's a stolen car, and
Yeah.
it was being driven by one person, and the person that got killed in it was a passenger. So just have to lock it and take care of your belongings. As far as our support services and traffic, there was something, just so we know, let everybody know, we will have in the next, starting tomorrow and for the next couple of weeks, we will have an increased presence in the school districts with radar enforcement, so everybody should be well aware that if they're gonna, we're gonna enforce the school zones. You gotta pull everybody back on this. In the packet, there should be an email that was from a resident. It went to Town Hall, went to the Selectman's office, and then came over to us. And this was from a resident that had expressed some concern about traffic on the Nancy Lane. Nancy Lane is up here in the area of off of Washington Avenue, Wadsworth, into Butler Park and Allen Road. And there was concern of the lack of stop signs at the intersection of Nancy, Allen, Park, and Butler, and how people would just tend to roll through. It is a T intersection. If you look at the manual on the traffic controls that we usually follow, it's not mandated that there's a stop sign there, but we're not opposed to that. It's a small, when they do come around the corner, Nancy Lane is kind of narrow, so it would be persons that would be traveling, say, south on Allen to Nancy, if they went through and rolled through, it's very possible they can land up on the opposite side of the road. So we're not opposed, even though it doesn't mandate that there be stop sign there, because of the volume of traffic. We're not opposed to it if you so choose to put.
So at that particular intersection, you think that a potentially stop sign at Nancy and Allen is probably the most appropriate?
Nancy and Alan, and there was a previous complaint a couple months ago for Park. We looked at it, and, you know, as far as the vehicle history or as far as the accident history, it didn't look like there was a lot of volume there necessarily to push it to the commission. But now that we have two different people, one on one street, one on another, it might be just the easiest thing to provide the stop signs there.
Those streets are very, I took a ride over there. The streets are very close to each other. I can
Yeah.
imagine that, having to stop between here and you.
Yeah. Oh, no, you wouldn't be stopping that way. The stop sign would be on Allen when you get to Nancy.
Right, that one I can see.
And then Park
The
when you
next
got to
street up,
Nancy.
right.
And then it would be on Butler when you got to
To
Nancy.
Nancy,
But there wouldn't be
okay.
any on Nancy itself.
Okay, all right.
So you're talking 3 signs?
3 signs.
You see any downside from a traffic perspective?
I really don't. You know, it's one of those things where, you know, it's never, there are stop signs at the opposite end of the street where it goes out to Temple because of the volume of Temple Street, and you're intersecting with a road that carries a lot of traffic. Nancy Lane doesn't carry a lot, but, you know, those folks over there see something every day that we don't see. And if they're telling us that cars that come through there tend to swing a little wide,
So do you think 3 is necessary, though?
it probably is.
Okay.
I mean, if you're gonna do one, I would do all 3.
Okay.
You know, because then the other person's not gonna say,
Yeah,
hey,
I drove over there
how come you
also,
gave
so-
him one and you
Yeah,
didn't
no,
give
no,
me
no.
one?
I've got no
Right.
problem
You know?
with it, to be honest with you personally, so.
Yeah, I mean,
We're not opposed to it.
Like to limit it to the extent that we can, just because there's a proliferation of signs, but if there's a reason for it, which sounds like there is here,
Yeah.
then we ought to do it.
Okay. I'll make the motion that we put up the 3 stop signs at Nancy.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So that's approved.
All right. And then as far as our records, professional standards, that's also includes our training. Officer Flanagan has completed his field training. So I believe he finished it today. So he'll be off and on his own. Officer Richard De Palma is roughly 7-8 weeks into his academy training. So my guess is that we're looking at probably mid-December for a graduation. Either somewhere probably the end of the first week, maybe the beginning of the second week, there should be a graduation up there. As far as the outside SROs that the chairman mentioned, the ones that have been selected, they've been given conditional offers of employment. They have completed their polygraphs, their psychologicals, their medicals. We expect them, we want to give them a little bit of training prior because they're coming from the outside. We just want to fit them in the best we can. So we expect them to hopefully be on the job within the next 3 weeks or so. So by the end of September, we should have everybody in place. In the meantime, we're operating with a plan, the Plan B, so to speak. When we first talked about this SRO program, there was the 5-officer program, and if the town didn't want to go that route, we could do 3, where they would, we would have somebody at the middle school, and then one SRO or supernumerary would bounce back and forth between like Green Acres and Ridge, and somebody would bounce between Clintonville and Montauk. So that's what we're going to do for the first month or so. We had a meeting with the superintendent of schools, all the administrators, and then yesterday we brought the SROs to what the Board of Ed calls their convocation, their big meeting of bringing everybody into an assembly. So I guess they get their marching orders from the superintendent, you know, that day, and we introduced our SROs to all of the faculty and the staff, and I think they're very supportive of it.
That's
It's,
great.
You know, so that's going to be good. The new lateral transfers that you had mentioned, they have also completed their examination, their polygraphs and medicals and et cetera, with the exception of just one. He's just going to catch up, I believe, either tomorrow or Friday. The recruit that was given a conditional offer, she's scheduled for something on Friday, so we're moving things quickly. And we're kind of in a little bit of a tight window period here, because this academy class starts on October 5. So we need to give the police academy a name of a person that's going to be in this seat, usually by the end of the second week of September. So, you know, that's only 2 weeks away.
How does our timing work with Hannon?
That works perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, that works real good, because that would be the female recruit that you would extended an
Mhm.
offer to, and then we have somebody else in the wings, just in case. As far as the other business, as I meant, we already talked about the SROs, our building and our radio project. Just to give you an update on where we are with that. The steel is been pushed back about 6 weeks, 6 to 7 weeks.
6 more weeks?
Not more weeks.
Oh,
We're
okay,
supposed to be
okay.
getting delivery the end of August. Well, today's pretty close to being the end of August. I don't see any steel over there, and it's very, very frustrating. And they were telling us that it would be here at the end of August. It would be erected. We would have some type of erection of steel during September.
Is there a reason for this that they've given you? Obviously, they have to give a
I
reason.
think what happened, the way they kind of told me, and again, you can give me a kick or a nudge, it started with these drawings of, you know, the architect gives a drawing, and then the drawings are reviewed by the engineer, and the engineer is going to take them and give them to the steel fabricator, and the so-called shop drawings, or whatever they call them. And then the shop drawings get rejected for one thing or another, and they get sent back to the people at the engineers, and they make their adjustments, and then it gets sent back to this. But they don't get sent back like overnight. These things are things that take a week and a half, 2 weeks sometimes, you know, because somebody's got to work on them. It's very, very frustrating. But our biggest concern at this point is just our temporary lease on our office space, if we get pushed back much further. But we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there.
Well, do we think at this point they're going to be able to close it up before the weather gets bad?
I was told that they would be able to close it up by winter.
Okay.
They were all the steel was supposed to be put up September.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were going to immediately start the block work. And then they would turn around and they would put up the scaffolding for the outside and cover it, and they would heat it for the winter. And they would be able to work the entire winter. The inside of the old building, it's a good part of it's framed. What, roughly 70% of it? 75% of the existing police building on the first floor and second floor is already framed, you know, as far as the steel on the inside. So, and I noticed today they had the new like casings for the window. That's all framed in with steel. So, I mean, there's work being done.
Yeah, so they're doing what they can, it sounds like.
Yeah, they're doing what they can, but you know, if it were if it were your house or my house, I mean, we'd be over there, you know, pushing them and pushing them and pushing them. But everything hinges on this steel, so that's where we are basically right now.
How long is I'm new, obviously, but how long is the lease that you have on the building? Right?
We're good until I think it's the middle of March. So we might need to go to, say, the middle of May, just to give us some comfort. But that's,
But that's a good option that's available?
right now it is, right now it is, but it's, we gotta work on it quick, gotta lock it down. And, I just, the people have been great with us, but, somewhere along the line, our owner's rep has been on these people, and it's not even like the construction management, it all falls on this steel outfit out of East Hartford or West Hartford, wherever they are. They're really, really tough.
So what's the estimated delivery date now?
Well, I think they're still telling us, the middle of April.
No, just for the steel.
Oh, I haven't, yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
problem.
So some of the steel is on site, but
Okay.
as far as the structural steel for the new addition, that hasn't shown up. So they're
They're
still
saying a
saying by
couple
October
weeks,
1st,
yeah.
they'll be
Yeah.
completely done.
We'll have to see. They said they'd be willing to, have people work Saturdays
Yeah.
to try to catch up,
Mhm.
but I mean, there's only 4 Saturdays, and there's just, the quick and dirty numbers on that, that's 32 hours. You're not gonna get a whole lot of work done there.
Right.
Yeah, so that's where it is. The only other thing I have would be for the executive session for a couple personnel issues.
Anything from the commission members before we move to executive session?
Nothing.
So may I have a motion to move from regular session to executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So I guess we need a motion to move back into regular session.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. So I'd like to make a motion that we present a conditional offer to Officer Richard Hannon to be a supernumerary upon his retirement, which has been stated as on or about September 13th of this year, 2018.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Carries. Anything else for the board?
No.
I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.